My name is David Phillips. I am a freelance production manager and lighting designer. The journey with Ramps on the Moon, it's interesting because I started working in accessible theatre well before I had anything to do with Ramps on the Moon. So I started my career in 2009 working with a company called Crazy Cat, who created BSL integrated children's work. And that's where I first met the legend that is Caroline Parker. And we worked together on shows for Crazy Cat. So when I joined the Wolsey Theatre in 2016, in January, that's when my proper Ramps journey began. I was basically tasked very quickly with us we were about to do our own Ramps show, which was Tommy, which is a huge ask because that's a big old company and it has to be, it's about mainstream work that just happens to have deaf and disabled people in the show. And also you're creating a musical, and it's also a musical about, in quotes, a deaf, dumb and blind kid, which already throws up 1,000 problems to solve. So that was my journey. And because I worked with deaf and disabled people before, I sort of just went, okay, we'll do this. And the key for me was having an open mind and going, I'm going to talk to people. I don't have the answers because I have no lived experience. All the people I'm working with, whoever they are, whether they be interpreters or actors or creatives, all have lived experience. I don't. So I don't have any of the answers. And that was always felt the most healthy way to go in. I've learnt so much. I've been lucky enough to work on multiple Ramp shows now. But I've learnt so much from just going, what do you need? So my journey, started in 2016, and in 2017 we toured the Who's Tommy around the partner venues, which was just the most wonderful experience. We had a deaf ASM on the show. We had a sound number 3 who's a wheelchair user. So just working with in-house crews, turning up with a show. Oh, we're going to put your show into. Oh, you've got members of crew who have access needs. Not filling the wings up with flight cases because your sound number 3 then cannot get through the wing. All of those things, it's just so valuable on multiple levels. I think for me, one of the keys of that Ramps experience is the fact that it's not just about the representation of people on stage in front of an audience. It's about the representation backstage in technical roles. Where are the deaf and disabled technicians? Because it's not just about the people on stage, it's about a career path for everybody. Collaboration is the magic moment. It's the understanding that when you have so many people in the rehearsal room, people are going to have personal assistants, we're going to have access workers of various types, BSL interpreters. I mean, those Ramps rehearsal rooms are just amazing because they are a sea of loads of different people who have come together to create work. So I think lots of us have sat in a rehearsal room with just the creative team and some actors and done a show. But when you do a Ramps show, you just have all of these other magic people who can all feed into that process. So the process in the rehearsal room and the process in the production process is considerably richer. So magic moments, for instance, when we worked with Emily Salter, our ASM on Tommy, we realised that Emily needed a way of, she's got an implant, we needed a way of somehow getting information to her for cues and cueing stuff. So our sound team made her a thing she could plug into her communications pack, and then that she could pick up noise, but she could at least get cue points and things like that. Solving problems for people, and it being just, we'll do that. Let's get on with that. Let's fix that. Let's make that work. Let's stick a ramp here. Let's do that. It's about sort of the equality, the level playing field. Everybody's needs are as important, whether they're disabled or not. We created our Ramps show second in the consortium, and Birmingham Rep were great at going, this was a bit of a, certainly talking to production and everything else, this was a bit of a nightmare. But I think as soon as you stand there on the first day of rehearsals and see how many people stand in that semicircle and how long the go around the room, sign your name and who you are and everything else takes, then you go, this is huge. we're used to working with a director with one vision, and what you end up with is you need multiple people with the agency to actually go, I'm going to make that decision on captioning or this BSL decision. And the director has to almost step back and go, I am literally curating all of these other people who are creating the work. I cannot be the sole person in the room who has, full control over everything, because they would explode. Everyone had to feed into that process. We learned from Birmingham because they were really candid. So they had created a set. They designed a set. They blessed them being the first to do it. And then I talked to the head of production and on the first night. We walked around the set and they went, that didn't work. Nobody could get up those stairs because they had a couple of company of short stature. And you just go, we didn't even think about that. And constantly in my head was like, okay, either use my brain or I'll ask, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? As soon as we had that company cast, then it's like, who have we got? Right, let's talk to them. Let's find out what they need. Let's have a rehearsal set. We had the whole set in 3 mils so that people could get used to the fact that if you're visually impaired, you've got to know where that doorway is, because there was only 4 doorways on the set. But that allowed us to do, and those members of the company to do, amazing things because they knew the boundaries they were working to. There's always been a ramps ethos, the ramps idea that you always put access on every meeting agenda. And even if it doesn't formally appear, it's always there. There'll always be a conversation about how does this work? Does anyone in the company have any access requirements? And what's very interesting is, in a ramps legacy sort of way, I work with another production manager and who'd worked at the Wolsey a lot, goes off to other production meetings and then goes, and then anything for access in a production meeting, and everyone in the room's like, what? Or do we need to discuss captioning or audio description? And what's happening is, as people work within an environment, a ramps environment, or an environment of creating accessible for everybody, they're taking that out into the wider industry and challenging other producers and other theatre makers to go, so you're only audio describing one show in your entire 2-month run. Is that a good thing? And it's great. And I think that's for me the legacy, because I think we're all baked in a little bit. There's an expectation. We're surprised if we're not doing half a dozen access shows on a piece of produced work. You have to embed that in the organisation. It has to be just like a no-brainer. Audio descriptions are being tried out today. Somebody tested it. It's all of that, just being constantly on it. It's not something you even want to think about. It just needs to happen. What surprised me is when I think everyone's prepared for a deaf or disabled actor now. They've had that chat. They've got their heads around that, especially if you work back of house or you work on stage door or whatever. You're used to welcoming quite a diverse range of actors. What you're not used to is welcoming a diverse range of technicians. There's still a bit of surprise, an element of surprise when you have somebody who works in technical theatre or backstage and stage management or whatever, that they're there. The whole point is normalising deaf and disabled people in the workplace, in the work we make, finding ways in for deaf and disabled young people to actually get training and get meaningful training that's not just about their disability, it's about working in the industry and they just happen to have a disability. I think that's the next big challenge. You meet amazing people, you solve amazing problems. If you work in production management for the work, which I do, I'm here for the work. I'm not here for the Excel spreadsheet. I'm not here for working out trucking. I don't care about a truck pack. I care about people having an amazing experience on stage and audiences having an amazing experience watching what's on stage. And Ramps has allowed me to work with an amazing group of people who are, across the board, warm, funny, incredibly brilliant, talented people, and also as means that I can go, what do you need? What will make this easier for you? What do we need to do to help this or that? And that could be, Leeds Playhouse made a bespoke wheelchair for Mrs. Sowbury in version 1 of Oliver Twist. that emitted smoke. It was a steampunk wheelchair. I've never seen anybody so excited in my life. Their props team did that. You know, we try and make adaptations to allow people to, you know, play different instruments, or we'll alter bits and pieces of the set to make sure that people can get on and off stage safely. All of that sort of stuff. It's all really exciting because you're helping somebody perform to their best of their ability, but also you're doing some really cool problem solving. I think that's sort of why a lot of people are in theatre. They like solving a problem and seeing a result. Talk to deaf, disabled actors and creatives and go, what do you need to be comfortable in a process? Don't just assume you know how to make a rehearsal room work or a rehearsal process work. So don't just go, I know what I'll do. I'll cast a deaf actor, and then not have a think about how they're going to integrate with the room, be in rehearsals and everything else, but have that conversation. I have spoken to so many people who've taken on ramp shows. It's their turn to do the ramp show. And the first thing I say to is, talk to your acting company. As soon as they're cast, talk to your actors. What do they need? Get them sorted. The creatives and everything else will come on, but just make sure that they are comfortable and they've got everything they need to be as good as they possibly can. That's the key. But, you know, just do it, and, you know, good luck if you can actually find a deaf or disabled actor to employ, because they're all getting work, which is absolutely brilliant.